Mike's on Mike is made possible by contributions from listeners like you to the Jacksonville History Center. One city, many stories. Online at jackshistory.org.
Mike.
Mike's on Mike, a conversation about politics, government, and Jacksonville, with 50-year opinion leaders Mike Hightower, Mike Tolbert, and award-winning broadcaster and longtime political observer Mike Miller.
Welcome to Mike's on Mike. I'm Mike Miller, along with Mike Hightower here in studio. Mike Tolbert once again is out at the farm, and we're happy to have you with us. And as always, of course, Mike's on Mike is brought to you by the Jacksonville History Center, where our friend Dr. Alan Bliss and his great staff, and particularly the very generous donors that we have who keep this program on the air. We want to thank them very, very much and hope they'll stay with us for a very long time.
Thank you.
This week, Mike's on Mike once again wants us to get to know one of Jacksonville's new city council members. Last week, it was District 8 Democrat Rockman Johnson. Today, we're talking with District 2 Republican Councilman Mike Gay. So now 4 Mike's on Mike in this episode today. So if anyone says, hey, Mike, we're all going to answer you, all right? Mike Gay is a lifelong resident of North Jacksonville, and like so many Jacksonville notables over the years, he's a graduate of Andrew Jackson High School. He's the owner of M. Gay Constructors, and he and his wife, Milena, are longtime volunteers building schools and churches in Central America and in Asia. Newly elected Council President Kevin Carrico just named Councilman Gay as chair of the Neighborhoods Committee, and congratulations on that. Welcome to the broadcast. We're delighted to have you here. And Mr. Tolbert is going to kick it off for us, Councilman.
Mr. Gay, thank you for being with us today. You know, the three of us are more fascinated by politics than we are about government. So I want to start off asking you a political question about how you were elected in 2023. I'm fascinated by what happened. It was like you were running against everybody, but incumbent city councilman Al Ferraro, who could not run again. Your opponent had the endorsement of Republican Congressman John Rutherford, Republican Sheriff T.K. Waters, and 7 Republican members of the city council. Your opponent was a Republican lawyer, Lindsey Brock, and not only did he have that top-heavy support, but his consultant was Tim Baker, who we like to refer to fondly as the black hat of Jacksonville political consultants. How in the world did you win against all those odds?
This must be David and Goliath we're going to hear about.
Well, it's good to be here. Yes, it was a interesting and laborsome campaign. And we definitely had the giants that we had to fight against. Recently, I've sat down with some of the, my opponent's team that worked against me, and he admitted to me that we beat the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and everything that they threw at us. That we were able to overcome it, and during the campaign, it was real simple, and we put it out there that. They keep telling lies, we're going to keep telling the truth. And so in the end, when the dust settled, the people that knew me, with Councilman Al Ferraro's support as well, people that knew Al, it was to their detriment. The more lies they told, the more people turned against them.
Well, they accused you of all kind of things. It was relentless and it was aggressive. I mean, the negative attacks, which is not unusual for that group of folks. Tell us some of the false things that was said. And did you ever just think about throwing in the towel and saying, the hell with this? I got other things I could be doing?
Well, no, sir. It's kind of, I live by an adage, you don't start and quit. My daddy taught me a long time ago when I quit JV football because it was too hard that day. He made me go back the next day, and I had to do practice and makeup practice for quitting. And so he instilled in me not to be a quitter, and that's what they got tangled up with, was somebody that wasn't going to quit. And, they would do, there at the end, they would do 2 mailers a day against me, and they were mailing the Republican super voters, telling them that I was basically a big liberal, that I was, going to defund the police and everything imaginable. And then we had the MPAs and the Democrats were receiving mailers as well, saying I was a MAGA Nazi Republican. That that would all, where it really hurt them in the end was not everybody in the voting world out there shares the home of both Republicans or both Democrats. Some are Republicans and some are mixed.
Yep.
And so when they'd get the mailers in the mail, they couldn't figure out what my opponent was trying to say about me, because each one was looking at, this is good, this is good. So they just kind of looked at my opponent, and their strategy is just kind of bipolar. They just didn't know what to say about it.
Wasn't there a spillover in the mayor's race in that?
It was very impactful. Our district is very heavily Republican. We kind of give more strategy on our campaign. We knocked the doors of the Republicans, but I also knocked the door of the Democrats, and I went and met them face to face. But in the bleed over into what took place against me and against Al really turned off a lot of the supporters that were supporting me and Al from the negative campaign that came out against us, to where if my figures or my information is actually correct, I believe it was that the Davis campaign did not win one precinct in District 2.
Wow. Wow.
Well, that is the topic for negative campaigning. That is incredible. Picking up along those lines, as former party chair, along those same lines, when past chairman Dean Black stepped aside as the local party executive chair, he and the group that ran against you endorsed a successor who was defeated. You supported Charles Barr, Scooter, as the new chair. As I've shared with folks, Scooter is a Teamster, which has shown the whole world how the Republican Party has transformed. He may be the only Teamster RC in the country. Like you, Barr has had to run against the Baker crowd, including several council members. Since then, you're only one of three of our Republican council members supporting him and helping to build the party. How do you respond to the rumor that other council members are waiting for permission from their consultant or from somebody to help support the new chair, when in less than 2 years we're going to have to run again? And what's the reaction of these Republican city councilmen that only 3 have stepped up to help the party? Why? Or have they shared that with you?
No, I have not had that discussion with the other council members. I just, as always, I kind of go in the direction of doing the right thing, and not really having to ask permission. So when Scooter wanted to come to me about running for chair, we sat down, and he asked me if I would nominate him. I said, no problem, let's do it. And, I helped him considerably when he was running for District 8, and he done a phenomenal job. If he'd have had a little more support, that I think he possibly could have pulled that off. But it was very laborsome, and Charles Scooter, we kind of go way back. Me and him was both electrical apprentices together, digging ditches, running pipe from way back when, and we went through the apprenticeship together. We topped out as electricians and on up through our careers. He is involved with the Teamsters where he works at, And ironically, I'm a member of the IBW 222. And so, I got that behind me as well. And it shows that he and I are able to bridge gaps that people were never able to do. And I was endorsed by the 177 here in town, and after the runoff, when we got into the runoff. But, and they understand I'm, going to be fair about labor and the people and make sure the right thing's done, and so is Charles.
Right.
And, and that's where there's a big group that's sitting out there that's just looking for leadership, looking for people to do the right thing to take care of people. And that's where Scooter has come in to be able to bridge these gaps. And these other council members, I feel sure that they'll come around, at some point in time. And we're starting to see it already shifting and coming in to support him now that they see that he's really not coming in to antagonize or attack anybody, but he's coming in to bridge the gap and bring the people together and, for a better Jacksonville, for a better Republican Party. And so I feel like it'll come. Nothing's going to be instantaneous, and I feel, but Scooter, he'll do the work, and he'll get the result that's needed.
Yeah, for disclosure for everyone here, you were the one that shared with me what happened after you nominated him, and to say they were going to do a coup and weren't going to be successful. And as you all know, I retired a lot of times, a long time ago, from being in the party, and it was him and what they did to you and what they did to him that I came back and start to help the party. I really do appreciate what you were just saying about doing the right thing for the right people. Last week we had Rodman on, and same theme. Rodman Johnson, your colleague, same ideas.
Very much so.
Hopefully.
Even though it was said that we like politics more than we like government, we need to turn to governing for just a moment for my next question, if I can. You made it really clear that you're a fiscal conservative. A lot of people look at fiscal conservatism in a lot of different ways. Definitions are all over the place. How does Mike Gay look at what is a conservative or fiscal conservative, and how can you directly apply that to the city of Jacksonville and the way you govern on the city council?
Yes, sir. I guess I don't really try to hold in guardrails of a definition. I just look at each situation as, are we spending, what are we spending, what's the purpose, what's the need, what's the result? And it's really, those are the things that I look at into needs and wants. Do we need to spend this? Are we doing it just out of wants? I kind of bring it back to that and just look at just the principles of what my community needs and what the people need. We can go spend a lot of money on a bunch of stuff that's meaningless, but at the end of the day, it's not getting our roads fixed. It's not getting our infrastructure fixed of what the people out there are really, really concerned about. And so that's what I look at. And I come from a upbringing is if you don't need to spend it, don't spend it. It's simple as that. You watch out for rainy days that it's coming.
Yeah, which are coming.
Yes, sir.
As we're hearing. When the council voted $1.4 billion for the Stadium of the Future, you were the lone no vote in a 14-1 vote count. I don't know if you can see him, folks, right now, but the shades of color on his face are just wonderful to watch it morph from one color to another. Anyhow, you called it
That's called authenticity.
You're right. You called it a great deal gone wrong, okay? What made it a great deal gone wrong, in your estimation?
And I put out a press release after the vote and explained my position, my take on it. And just kind of in a nutshell is I never said that the stadium didn't need to be remodeled. I said we could do better. When the Jaguars had over 2-3 years to put this deal together. The mayor's administration had over 8 to 9 months to put it together. I reached out continually. Let me be involved. Let me be involved. Let me help dive into what's going on in here. I did meet with the Jaguars one time early on, listened to what they had to say, and appreciated that. So then we had the 3-week crash course that we had to go through. And from that, topics were brought out. They were not steering me in the direction of where they would get a green button from me. And so I kept bringing up the issues, saying, the ROFO, where the Jaguars had the first right of refusal to the property beside the Four Seasons Hotel, that they could first option to purchase that for $25 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, over on their side of the $1.4 billion deal, they get a $25 million credit on that side if they purchase that property for $25 million. So think about that a second. So actually, it's a zero cost. We're giving that to them. They owe $20 million for the Super Bowl 2005 that has not been paid. That was forgiven. Where in my business, the bills I owe, I have to pay. It's simple as that, and it should have been paid.
As you remember, as we all remember, I'm sure, if it wasn't whispered, sometimes it was screamed from the rafters that if we didn't do this deal, the Jaguars would leave Jacksonville. Did you ever believe that would happen? And were you concerned that your no vote might lead to that if others followed you?
No, and see, and that's where I'm not going to be manipulated into that kind of thinking, because I'm just looking at the facts of it. And the facts were that I showed $70 million just from a surface look, surface analyzation of it, that we didn't need to spend. Doing a deeper dive into it, we could have saved so much more. In construction, there's needs and wants.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need a stadium remodeled, okay. But there's 3 NFL stadiums in Florida. None of them have roofs on them. And we're going to put a roof on ours because we're hot and they're further south than we are. Okay, so that's a want. So that should be, instead of the 50-50 scale, it should be on a sliding scale to maybe a 30-70. Let the Jaguars pay a little bit more for the want. Artificial turf, that's a want. Our grass grows good here. So I showed come up to about $460 million that we should have only be spending for the stadium. And that's all I was asking for. Let's pause this, let's do a deeper dive, get a better deal.
Just to make clear, Councilman, you were in favor of the new stadium.
I was in
the concept
favor,
of a new stadium.
I was in favor for a renovation of the current stadium.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Right. And so I was not in favor of what I look at as a wasteful spending. You take the naming rights. You got the CBA that goes in there. So that's $130 million. That's going into this, or $150 million going into the CBA. Well, the Jaguars we have to do ours over, I believe, a 4-year period. Well, the Jaguars do theirs over a 30-year period. So $150 million in 30 years from now is not $150 million now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot less. But they also get the naming rights. $137 million for the naming rights that gets paid to them over 30 years. So there's the skin in the game is very light on that side. And, it kind of brings back, when we're talking about the vote, it brings back to, one of the first things I did when I went in office, I got with ethics to say what I need a definition, what I can do, how I can do, what I can't do. We went through it, and they come back, our ethics and our attorneys come back and say, we need to go to the state and get a written opinion. Ethics, I said, let's do it. And they said, do you want to have it anonymous, or do you want your name attached to it? I said, put my name attached to it because there's nothing to hide.
Transparency.
I got a written report back saying the procedure. I was clear to vote for that stadium, or I was clear to abstain from voting for the stadium and participate in the construction of it, have the opportunity to participate. I stood up and I made my position that I choose not to participate in the construction of the stadium and able to cast a vote for the project, the bill, the money, because I was elected to vote for the people. I wasn't elected to make a profit for the people. And so that's where I felt so strongly about what I was saying and what I was doing.
I want to go in a different, I want to go in a different direction for just a minute, if you don't mind, Councilman Gay. Your district includes East Arlington, Blount Island, and North Jacksonville. That kind of puts the plan by JEA to lift 6 JEA high voltage lines from 175 feet to 220 feet, right in your wheelhouse. And it's being done to accomplish getting larger container ships into port. In March, when the council voted to fast track an interlocal agreement between JEA, Jacksport, and the city, the vote was 16-0, but you abstained. Why did you abstain from that?
Yes, sir. I have my business in the past and current. We do a lot of work with JEA and from doing the cell towers to the power line work. And we, by meeting with ethics and all, it was determined that it would be best that I abstain from voting and not participate in that. And I looked at it as this is a type of project. If we don't try to do or be involved in it, they'll have to bring companies from Texas or different places further in, and it could very well be more impactful. And so that's why I abstained from voting on that out of abundance of caution that there wouldn't be a conflict. But, the port, and, I'm not a liaison for the port or the JEA, and so I'm kind of shielded back from that. And so we file papers when we do work with JEA.
Well, that makes good sense. You're not opposed to the raising of those power lines, are you?
No, sir. And I guess one of the big things that I look to and want to emphasize is we've got to enable our port to be able to function at its maximum capacity, and we hear so much flag waving and fist pounding about affordable housing. And I tell everybody, and we may have some more discussion about some other topics here that's going to lead back to this. You never can meet the end need if you don't take care of the provisions in the beginning. And you say you want affordable housing, well, you got to get affordable 2x4. You got to get affordable concrete. You got to get affordable supplies. And if you are making that harder to get in here, all you're doing is setting up our city to fail in the future. And so we sit here and we got to make sure our goods are coming in at the best way we can get them in at the least cost. And eventually this raising the power lines will boost our economy out there of what we're doing. We're having to import ash in now. Ash is a big product that's used for concrete. But we don't burn coal no more out at the power plants. And so here recently, a year or so ago, they had a barge that turned over out in the river with the ash in it that was being brought in. And so there's things that we can be green and environmental conscious on things, but we're also are affecting our economy. And so we got to find that balance. And so, yes, I supported the power line. I didn't vote for it, but I didn't have any opposition to it because I'm looking at the end result is what I was looking at.
All right, guys. That half hour has just run by. I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm sitting here saying, my goodness, we've just come up on the 28th minute. Mr. Gay, thank you so very, very much for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate it.
I thought I knew a lot about you. I didn't know Jack. I learned a lot. Appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all having me here.
So did I. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Meanwhile, as I mentioned last
Thank you,
week,
Mr.
we
Gay.
recently conducted a survey, and we're surprised to learn that around 90% of you listen to this podcast rather than watching it. So we've decided to make a change to audio only starting next month in August. In going audio only, we'll still be able to maintain the same quality of program that you're used to hearing. Those of you who think this is high quality, it still will be. For the rest of you, you weren't with us anyhow, so it doesn't really matter. But at the same time, we'll also be able to still have the same great guests like Mike Gay coming on the program when we're on audio only. And it will also, most importantly, allow us to stretch our sponsorship dollars much broader. And that's really the most important point. We want to stay on the air for you, and we want to continue doing programs for you for a very long time. Which brings us to, once again, our thanks to our podcast partner, the Jacksonville History Center, Dr. Alan Bliss and his fine staff. And until next time, thank you for tuning in to Mike's on Mike, however you're doing it, listening to it, watching it, or doing it both. And on behalf of my colleagues, Mr. Tolbert and Mr. Hightower, we'll see you all again next week.
Hi, I'm Scott Westerman, and I produce Mike's on Mike, with a special thank you to listeners like you who support the program through your contributions to the Jacksonville History Center. 2 years ago, Dr. Alan Bliss and his team generously agreed to aggregate gifts from listeners like you to help pay for the production and distribution of Mike's on Mike. When you specify Mike's on Mike with your donation to the History Center, your support makes these programs possible. And you're engaging in a relationship with the premier organization that celebrates the rich history of our hometown. If you enjoy these weekly conversations, consider a contribution to the Jacksonville History Center at jackshistory.org. Say it's for Mike's on Mike. And if you're already a Mike's on Mike supporter, thank you.
Mike's on Mike with Mike Tolbert, Mike Hightower, and Mike Miller can be found on your favorite podcasting platform, Facebook, and YouTube. Visit the website at mikesonmike.com. Join us next time for more conversation with Mike's on Mike.